This video is meant for entertainment purposes only, not for education or seriousness. If you get offended on topics that surround Christianity or other topics in general, I recommend that you do not view this video since it contains jokes or other comedic actions surrounding those topics. This video is meant for enjoyment, not for hate towards those topics. Planes fresh off the blues are floating. Planes of soft spikes are waving, and planes of air are surrounding us at this moment. Good morning, good night, or good day, my fellow Christians. And today I am reviewing something no man has ever reviewed. And while I did, I started realizing why. In this series, I'm gonna review the entire Bible. No, I'm not joking. In this video, I will be reviewing the first book, Genesis. So, let's dive in. So it all starts with the Lord himself, God. He decides to create a place where humans can physically hang around. Maybe he was just sick of Discord calls, I don't know. Like the chat he is, he makes the world in 7 days, or well, technically 6. Let me run it down for you. Day 1, God creates the light. Day 2, he divides land/water and heaven. Day 3, he divides land and water. Day 4, he makes 2 light bulbs. One is the sun and one is the moon. Day 5, he creates sea creatures and birds and shit. Day 6, he creates land creatures like humans. Day 7, he just be chilling. Then God creates the Garden of Eve and he puts a woman and a dude in it and he's like, yo, eat everything, fuck everywhere, I don't care. Just don't eat from the middle tree because it will give you PTSD and shit. And the human's like, aight. But then this woman talks to an evil snake and the evil snake is like, do it. So the woman eats the apple, the man eats the apple, both from the middle of the tree, and yes, you guessed it, PTSD. God gets angry and dooms human for eternity. So if you like a girl and you have been seeing her for a long time and then you ask her out and she says no, yeah, blame the apple. God realizes though that he put some of his own coke into that apple and sees that humanity is a disgrace, except Noah, he chill. So God tells Noah and his family to make a big boat, or well, ark, get 2 of every animal kind, 1 male, 1 female, and just sit on the seas that he is about to make for about half a year. So God then kills the entire human race except Noah and his family. Noah and his family start living on earth. God realizes that humans are just a bit annoying sometimes, but that is okay. So he accepts that he just committed genocide and moves on. Then some humans come up with this genius idea to make a tower so they can reach heaven. But God destroys it because mad, and now the humans have different languages. Anywho, one of those children of Noah has a child, and that is Abram. For some reason I destroyed my entire knowledge of Abram's beginning because I don't know. So to make the beginning quick, Abram enjoys Battle of Kings. He gets wife and slave. They have bebes, one being Isaac, one being Ishmael, if that is how you pronounce it, and a few others. Then a little between that, Abram and his wife Sarah, of Sarai, have contact with God. So Abram is named Abraham and Sarai is named Sarah. God wanted for some reason that everyone would be circumcised, so Abram, his child Ishmael, and others all circumcised. Then Abraham's brother Lot is in a town God wants to destroy. So 2 angels try to warn Lot and his 2 daughters. They barely escape and God destroys it. They escape into the mountains. So then this dude and his 2 daughters are in a cave. But the daughters want Bebe. So they wait for their father to get drunk and then both on separate nights have sex with him without him realizing. Which is basically incest and rape. Anywho, then the guy's like, yo, I miss my waifu because some king stole her because he thought she was his sister. But nah, she was his stepsister, so it's all good. Then Sarah finally gets Bebe and his name is Isaac, which is going to be important later. Then Sarah, like the bitch that she is, doesn't like the slave baby Abraham had earlier. So then he has to disown the slave and baby, and they almost fucking die of thirst. But then God is here to save the day and is like, yo, open your eyes and then water or something, and then boom, a well spawned. Then Abraham does some shit with his broski's Abimelech. I'm sorry, these names are like impossible to pronounce sometimes. For people who read the Bible, they know People who don't, Abimelech or something like that. Anywho, God is now like, yo, this Abraham guy is cool and all, but I still need to test him. So he decides that Abraham and Isaac have to go to the mountain in Moriah. What? Holy shit, I just realized that's a Lord of the Rings reference. What? Okay, anyway, and there they have to sacrifice Isaac. Bum bum bum. Isaac obviously doesn't know this, but his shitty dad does. Then some hella confusing shit happens that I still don't understand to this day. But anyway, for some reason Isaac survives the sacrifice because some woman, Rebecca, I think it's Rebecca, yeah, something like that. And then they marry or some shit. I should have probably mentioned this sooner, but the Bible I'm reading is a bit old and Dutch, and also it's the goddamn Bible, so there's a lot of room for symbolism and interpretation, so sometimes I don't know what the fuck they are talking about because it's so old. But yeah, basically Isaac and Rebecca have kids. The first kid is Esau, and the one after that is Jacob. Basically Jacob is the chill one, and Esau is the hunter dude. But then Esau asked Jacob for something, and like the baby bitch that Jacob is, he wanted Esau to give him the firstborn child right or something retarded. So he did, and then Jacob was firstborn child. Like, pff, the Bible, am I right? How wacky. Anywho, Jacob wants a girlfriend, just like all of us. So he sees this cute kawaii girl called Rachel and is like, yes. So he asks this king dude if he can marry her, and he says that he only accepts if Jacob works for him for 7 years. After 7 years, the king dude starts a party and tricks Jacob with having sex with the wrong girl, called Leah, who is Rachel's sister. So Jacob gets angry because he wanted to smash the other girl. So the evil king is like, well, fine, I'll give you Rachel if you work another 7 years for me. And that, people, is how gambling addictions start. So yeah, Jacob, like the Christian he is, works another 7 years. Then my man finally gets waifu. And I gotta say, you gotta be a massive simp to work 14 Satan flipping years to get a girl. But hey, at least he put in the work. But yeah, in the end he basically has 2 wives. So I would say it's worth it. Those wives even get jealous of each other, trying to one-up each other with having kids. But anyway, this king, or well, Laban or something, I don't know the fucking names, basically keeps kind of manipulating Jacob, and your boy is having none of it. God, being the absolute wingman and Chad that he is, realizes this and tells Jacob to get the fuck out of that abusive relationship. Laban chases Jacob and they end up in the mountains where they both set camp. Laban gets angry because he couldn't even say his daughters goodbye, and Jacob is angry because abuse. So they play Jenga and then both settle their waves. Jacob tries to get home but then hears that his brother Esau wants to kill him. So he, for some reason, starts a fight with someone and then gets hit, and then it's God or something, and then he's named Israel. No, I'm not joking. From this point, I'm also gonna call him Israel. Jacob is now Israel. I don't know why. But yeah, his brother is approaching, so he runs into battle, and his brother does the same, and they run towards each other, and then they kiss and cry or something. What the weird Bible shit. Anyway, then Jacob, or well, Israel, names a god El. No, I'm not joking. Then Israel's wife, Rachel, gets another kid and names him Benjamin. And Isaac dies and his sons Israel and Esau bury him. Israel has a son called Joseph. Now Joseph keeps having these dreams where he thinks that he's better than anyone else, and for some reason he tells this to his brothers every time. His brothers keep disliking him more and more and then decide to kill him. So they put him into an empty well, but then realize that it's way more epic to sell him to someone or some people in a caravan. They tell Israel that Joseph died, and Israel is heartbroken. One of those brothers, called Judah, moves away from his brothers to start his own family. They get 3 kids. The first one sees a cute girl and is like, yo, I want to marry her. But God didn't like him, so he dies. Then his brother also wanted to marry that girl for his brother, but we all know that's not true. But then he dies because God didn't like him. So when the 3rd kid arrives and is like, yo, I want to marry her, the mother is like, nah, he's not old enough, and sends the kid to his father. Then Judah finds this woman and doesn't realize it's the girl his sons tried to marry, so he smashes her and gets her pregnant, and then decides to almost kill her and doesn't realize it's her. It's complicated Bible stuff, again. Then she gets Bebe. Back to Joseph. So Joseph is now a slave in Egypt. God is with him, and so his life isn't that bad. But the wife of his master keeps wanting to sleep with him and eventually lies to her husband and says that Joseph tried to sleep with her, so he gets thrown into jail. Although then two important people for the Pharaoh get thrown in jail and get these weird dreams. They ask Joseph for explanation and he gives a very good one, although when they are free, they forget to tell the Pharaoh that Joseph should also have been freed. So he's still stuck in jail. But lucky for Joseph, 2 years later the Pharaoh gets weird dreams and they remember that Joseph exists. So the Pharaoh asks Joseph for an explanation. Joseph helps him and then Joseph becomes the Pharaoh's right hand and Joseph gets married. Later, Joseph's brothers, except Benjamin, need food, so they go to Egypt. Here, Joseph spots them, but they don't realize it's Joseph. So, Joseph plays a bit of tomfoolery and makes sure that his brothers give their youngest brother to Joseph, which is Benjamin. So then the brothers convince to Israel that they need to bring Benjamin if they want food again. They go back, they show Benjamin, then Joseph tries to trick them into making Benjamin a slave, so it's with Joseph. Judah convinces Joseph not to. Joseph reveals himself as Joseph. Then they go back and tell their father. Then their father and all their people and the brothers go back to Joseph. And then they can live in Egypt happily ever after. Although then a famine comes and basically everybody starves, but Joseph was prepared because the dreams of the Pharaoh. So he basically saved all that food. Then the people started buying that food and giving their animals in return. And then people started dying again. So they gave their land for the food. And then basically Joseph made sure that the Pharaoh had all the land in Egypt because everybody gave their land to the Pharaoh so they can have food. And that is how mafia works. And then Joseph, when he's about 110, dies of old age. And that is Genesis. Now I'm gonna talk about my opinion and my review on the actual Genesis in the Bible. But the thing is that normally when I review something, I just show footage of what I'm reviewing. But with the Bible, Genesis, that's kind of hard, and I already showed a lot of stock imagery. So to make it 10 times more funny, I'm gonna show some Rainbow Six Siege gameplay while I review Genesis. So enjoy. When I began this book, I know it was gonna be good. When I ended this book, I realized, yes, it is very good. And that shows through its fans, because the fandom is massive. Like, goddamn, I've never seen such a strong fandom. Some even dedicated their entire lives to it. And I mean, yes, this first book gives a lot of philosophical thoughts and has a very original story and interesting characters, but there are some flaws. First of all, I think it could have been more action-packed. Like, I get it, it's kind of like Game of Thrones Season 1, where there's like one fight scene in the entire season, but here it is just too bland. This also has to do with the pacing, and oh my god, the pacing! Not only is the story so slow, there is so much filler. I don't need to know about all these side characters or family trees. Sometimes they haven't even dedicated entire chapters to like a goddamn family tree. There's more filler in this book than Dragon Ball Z. And I'm not joking when I say that. For the last flaw, the book also has a problem with overall vibe. The tone is so explosive. You could read about the fact that people try to have peace and follow God, and then, no joke, a line after that, someone burns down an entire village. Probably why people like this story so much, aside from the philosophy, is the story. God damn, the story is so cool. I love the way they build characters, and although the characters are a bit weird, the 6 main characters, God, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob or Israel, and Joseph, are very fleshed out and you don't miss a single thing. But for the rest, a lot of characters kind of pass and go a bit too quick for me, and I think they could have been developed better. Obviously, we gotta talk about the main character, God. God's character arc is so good. He has this whole world in his hands and he learns throughout the story where to get involved and where not. I don't want to spoil too much, but he even destroys the entire human race, and then later you can see he regretted that a bit and he learns to deal with how dumb humans are sometimes. Right now I think I like Noah's Ark get it, the most. Overall, aside from this book has a bit of pacing problems, the golden story and the philosophy points that it has just make up for it though. I think I give Genesis a 9 out of 10. It's so well crafted and it almost feels like an entire generation's worked on it. I can't wait to read Exodus, but till then, have a nice one.